welcome to Life on the Moose. Welcome back if you've been here before. Today, let's put a window in this cabin right there. What's the first step to putting in a window? Draining your water heater. Everybody knows that. Come on, I'll show you what I'm doing. Okay, in order for all this to make sense, I have to start off with a simple history lesson. My wife and I bought Red Moose Ranch in 2005. Immediately, we had plans and applied for permits for a garage and for a house. Originally, it was a single-car garage. At the last minute, we decided to make it a two-car garage. So not only could we store tools and whatnot while we're working on the house, but that way we could park a vehicle in there if we needed to. And at the very last minute, we decided to add plumbing. So this cabin, what we call a cabin now, was really an evolution. So that's where we are right now. We have a little bathroom in there, and it's horrible. Let me show you my bathroom. Yay! Okay, this is the bathroom with the light on. It's extremely dark in here. Here's the water heater that I'm gonna get rid of, and I'll explain why I'm gonna do that in just a second. Okay, this is the outside wall that I pointed to earlier, and this is where we want the window. This water heater right here was an original. Oh, do you hear that gurgling in the background? Well, I shut the cold water supply off, and then I opened up the hot water faucet so I wouldn't create an airlock. That way, it allows this to drain properly. And just a word to the wise, before you drain your water heater, make sure the power is off. I made sure the breaker is off. So I installed that water heater as soon as we built this cabin, and it was about 2006 in the summertime, I think, when we got around to putting that water heater in there. And we got it from a family friend at the time who was in the water heater business. And it was a return, if I remember correctly. It was slightly used at the time. It was 2 years old. That was manufactured in 2004. So it is going on 22 years old. Well, age alone isn't the only reason we want to get rid of that water heater. Space. Obviously, it's very tight between the toilet and the tank. If you're more than 6'4", this bathroom probably won't work for you. So what we're going to do is put a smaller, shorter water heater in, a 28-gallon. And I'm going to put it under these stairs. Here's our new 28-gallon water heater. Isn't it cute? So I have quite a bit of work to do before we can actually begin installing that window. So I'll fill you in on the high points of changing out this water heater, because this is just too exciting to miss. Okay, when it comes to water heaters, electrical is usually a first and last scenario. When you're emptying your water heater, of course, like I mentioned earlier, first thing you want to do is make sure the power is off, because you don't want to drain the water heater and leave those heating elements naked and dry, because they can burn up and ruin the whole thing. And the opposite is true when you're installing a water heater. Electrical is the very last thing that you hook up. You want to make sure your water lines are filled, the tank is filled, air is bled out of the line and the tank, and then you hook up your power. So the first thing we're going to do is put this TPR on. This is a temperature pressure relief valve. I guess if things get too hot in there, instead of your water heater blowing up, it just flips this little valve here and lets water and pressure and steam out the side here. And this is what has to be discharged, should be discharged outside of the footprint of your building. And we'll get to all this fun stuff eventually. You can see it came with this, tape or goop of some sort from the factory, but it sure doesn't feel like much. So I'm gonna put one more round of thread tape on this before I put it in. Now, I'm no plumber, but when you put this thread tape on, make sure that you don't go over the edge. Just keep it all below that surface, because you don't want anything getting in the water line. That just gets put right in there, and you just screw it until it's tight. Okay, that's tight enough. It's facing about straight down, so we're good to go. So now I'm going to put this nipple on here. This is called a nipple. 2 male ends, if you will. This is an elbow, a 90-degree elbow. So I'm going to put that on there so I can get my discharge directed off to the side. And I know this is an emergency use only sort of thing. So chances are this will never be used. But I'm gonna go ahead and put some of this thread tape on anyway. So first thing I'm gonna do is put my elbow on my nipple, just hand tight that. And this, by the way, is black pipe. You can get this in galvanized, or this is copper. Since this is a discharge, I don't think it matters. I've seen these discharge pipes made out of plastic. Again, I don't think it matters. This is just a drain. Okay, that's pretty tight right there. And I'm aiming this so it's just about this far away from the tank. So right now I want to make sure I have a slight fall so that this goes downhill all the way to the outside of the building, where in theory it will drip out if it ever has to. I'm just going to put this little section of pipe in there by hand. Just looking at it, looks like it's good to go. Yes, a little bit of a fall. That's perfect. Okay, this is caulked and sealed on the inside. Hopefully I'll be able to get around the pipe itself, because I want this little elbow, I want that to stay on there. Although if it comes off first, I guess it won't matter. Maybe that pipe will come too. Oh, good. The pipe did. Okay, excellent. Good. Well, that was easy. So let's just take this off. Okay, it's disconnected, but I have a coupler inside, which is preventing this pipe from coming out. So let's get rid of that coupler. Okay, here we go. There we go. Okay. .30 amp breaker, by the way. This is a 10 gauge wire, so it's pretty heavy duty. With a metal box, you always need these clamps right there when you go through a hole, unlike the plastic boxes. Wiring actually vibrates. That's part of the electrons being activated, I guess. I'm no scientist. But that vibration causes this wire to move ever so slightly. Can't see it with the human eye. But I think that's why they require these clamps. Because if that wire moves around long enough, it can wear the insulation off if it's rubbing up against metal. Plastic, it won't happen. But I think that's the rationale. So this is up close and personal on that clamp that has to run through metal boxes. And because the clamp is metal, these little plastic, this is required, screws onto that clamp. That way your wiring will not rub against that metal. So I'm going to save this and put it on the new water heater. Okay, that's done. So this water heater right now is completely disconnected. Even though the electrical will be the very last thing I hook up completely, I'm going to get this side connected, because once I'm under those stairs, it's going to be a little tight. So I'm going to do all my top side stuff here now while I can, and I think it'll be easier. Can that work? Okay, hoses. This is a stainless steel water heater hose. It looks like a washing machine hose, but it's just a little bit bigger around and just a little bit beefier all the way around as far as I can tell. So this is a brass fitting with a rubber washer inside, a rubber gasket. And when you have this type of a fitting, my understanding is you don't use thread tape because that rubber is what seals it. Okay, last I checked, that other water heater was still dripping. So I'm gonna let that drip a little bit more, grab something to eat, and then get this thing set into position, I hope, this afternoon. So, question for you. What does venison and lamb have in common? Answer, they're both in my chili this week. Greek yogurt. I've had people comment about this in the past saying, what are you putting Greek yogurt in there for? Ultimately, this is a replacement for sour cream. It's supposed to be a lot better for you. I like the way it tastes, so why not? I got it. Okay, I finished up the wiring. The water's hot, so good to go. So my window is 24 inches by 24 inches. Here is one side, the right side, and here's the other side of that window. There's a stud right here. So I'm gonna start along the inside edge of this stud right here, and I'm just gonna first basically cut a viewing port to make sure that there's nothing behind here. Wiring, I know there's no plumbing behind here. I don't think if there's any wiring behind here. I have this outlet here, but I think that's all underneath this chair rail, if you want to call it that. So let's cut a hole in our perfectly good wall. So this is not a drywall saw. A drywall saw actually is thinner and comes to a point at the very end. This is just a general cutoff saw, but I think the teeth are the same as a drywall saw. But this is all I have. So this is what I'm using. Okay, I can feel a wire, but it is down there. As far as I can see, the wire is well below this board here, so I think we're good to go. Okay, next step is to cut that stud out that's in the middle of the window. And then after that, we're gonna frame what's there with 2x6s. So let's grab the Sawzall and then cut the 2x6s that we need to frame that window. What a day, holy cow. Okay, my opening is 24 inches, which means I'll have to frame it so that the inside opening is 24 inches. So that means I'm going to have to drop below this drywall my bottom frame, and on the top it'll sit above this drywall. So I'm just going to cut a little slit right here. I don't know if you can see that line right there. It's 1.5 inches lower than the drywall, so it's where I need to be. And then I drew a horizontal line right here where I need to cut. So I'm going to carefully stick my Sawzall right here, try to clip this 2x6 bottom and top. This is not a load-bearing wall, just an FYI. We have a huge beam, I think 6 inches by 18-inch glue-lam beam at the very ridge of this whole cabin, and that's held up by big posts on each end. I marked my corners. On this side, there's a stud here. And wherever I have a stud on the outside, I have the batten. If I just poke through here, it's gonna pop right out through that batten, I think. So what I'm gonna do is stay away from the stud about this wide, poke a screw through, and then I'll go to the other side and just mark over that wide, and then I'll know where to cut. This side isn't gonna matter because it's in between studs. So there's not gonna be a batten over here. Okay, here are my screws right here. There's one, there, and there. So now I just need to connect the dots, but I have to take into account that the fin itself is about 1 inch. So I gotta take these battens off about 1 inch farther below my window opening. So I'm gonna have window trim to contend with also. So I'm gonna take these battens, these 1x2s, and I'm gonna cut them back about 6 inches. And then once I get my window trim up and everything else, then I can put these back and cut them in as I need them. All the drywall's tight. Now let's go outside, take this opening, and install a window. Okay, the window's in. Let's go round up some trim boards and finish this job. That's it. We have a window. Check it out. This is not the cave it used to be. That's a good thing. Oh, I was going to mention, I ran into a viewer downtown, small town in the middle of nowhere. Ran into a viewer, said he watches my videos. I'm honored. I appreciate that. And I forgot to get your name. Nonetheless, thank you. And thank all of you for joining me on Life in the Moose. I appreciate it. Update on the house, still haven't received all the permits yet. I am waiting. It could be this week, could be next week, but I'm starting to get materials. And in the next episode or two, I'm gonna get going on some pre-foundation work, some prep work that we have to do. There's a lot to do. And beyond the house, there's another project I haven't even told you about yet. And that may be coming up as well. So just come back next week, no matter what. That way, you won't miss a thing. In the meantime, you take care of yourself. Take care of those around you as well. I'll see you soon.